Hello once again, Dave.
Hello once again, Matthew. Please hold regular. M.J. Sewall asked, "Hey there, Manly Matt. First, thank you, Dave, for reading the freebie list of Cerebus subscribers last month. I didn't expect such a comprehensive recap, but it was awesome. No problem. I thank you for your interest. And it's one of the reasons that I like getting the questions ahead of time, because I can sit there and go, okay, what's the best way to address this? And it's like, the red binder is sitting right over there in the filing cabinet, Dave. Dig it out, and how big a problem is this? And it's like, well, if I talk fast enough, I can get it all out there. Recently, reading Cerebus Companion numbers 1 and 2. Finally, where have I been since 1994? Yeah, got to give Craig major marks for doing Cerebus Companion that far back and that thoroughly. I still use it as a reference work. I had to ask, is there really an LP record recording of the early Cerebus issues? An actual record? No. I did draw the cover of Cerebus and Elrod in a recording booth. Did they actually go on air over the radio? Yes, they did. It was a group called Shockwave, a volunteer group. I believe a university radio station. It was in Minneapolis, and yes, they did go on air over the radio. Probably struggled to reach St. Paul from Minneapolis, but in terms of was it actually broadcast? Yes, it was. It was just very, very limited, like a university radio station is going to be. It got as far as, okay, I've got the jigsaw puzzle pieces here. I was still familiar with and had the connection to, as Dan Graham calls him, Kurt the Crook, the bootleg guy who did the Hot Wax magazine. So I knew that he knew how to get record albums produced. It's not rocket science. He had a place that pressed albums, and they were on the down low, willing to press his bootlegs for him. It would have been no problem for me to say, hey, can I get in on this? And can you just press 200 copies of the Cerebus Radio Show? And told the Shockwave people that that's what I wanted to do, and could they send me the best recordings that they had. And they sent them at the time on those big reel-to-reel tapes. So there's two giant reel-to-reel tapes that would have fit onto a giant recorder at the time. I still have those. Those are in the closet with the assorted pre-Cerebus artwork that I did, lettering, rejected pages, the jam story that I did with Chester Brown. All of the originals are there. So somewhere at the bottom of that pile, there is two cardboard reel-to-reel containers that have the two tapes in them. How far you would have to go in 2023 to find somebody who could take these Paleolithic tapes and turn them into digital files. I'm sure the technology exists, but it's probably not as available as it was. So do I still have those recordings? Yes, I do. Thanks again. again for being awesome and feeding my obsession. No problem. Thank you for being obsessed. I recently sprung for Cerebus numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5, several of which were graded by CGC. I can't justify pursuing a genuine or even counterfeit number 1, but my collection is nearly complete at issues 2 through 300. I even bought a Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 2 to put next to the Cerebus cover. Yes, I remember that from the photos that you sent me when you first contacted me, that there was a Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 2 next to, I guess, a reprint of number 2 at the time. I am not bragging. I just felt compelled to prove once again that when given the chance of getting Cerebus-related back issues on eBay or buying something that will put money in the pocket of Dave Sim, I consistently make the wrong choice. Sorry, Dave. And it's like, no, absolutely no need to apologize. It's the obsession expresses itself in different ways. The people who read and reread Cerebus, I think a lot of them have repented of going, okay, I don't need these valuable back issues because I've got the trade paperbacks, and are now going, I kind of want the trade paperbacks and I want the back issues. And some of them like CGC and some of them don't like CGC. Now that you've sort of hit the wall on the back issues, which I assume that you have, maybe you could think about something that would put money in the pocket of Dave Sim. Remember, every dollar you put in Dave Sim's pocket, 20 cents of it goes to the food bank of Waterloo Region. So if you're looking for a good reason, or at least a good rationalization, maybe that'll do you good.
So, two things. One, Tundis's Cerebus, the Aardvark site, has digital files of all the radio shows. Because there's only 6, right?
Okay, all right.
They only did the first 6 issues, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he's got them there. I'll put a link up. Every time the radio show comes up, I'm like, well, they're available on the internet. I put the link, and people are like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, tell me that after you've listened to all 6 of them once.
Meaning what?
I have trouble with adaptations. I tried listening to the first one, and I'm like, it's the Von Bodie Cheech Wizard thing all over again.
Right.
Right. The voice in my head and the voice they do, they're not quite the same voice. It's the same thing with Oliver's movie. I started watching it and I'm like, I know what this is. I should be 100% supportive of it, and I am up to the point where it involves me actually watching it. Right. And like my friend watched it and was like, and he's like, I have questions. I'm like, I'm sure you do. I'm the wrong guy to ask, because I got 8 minutes into it and went, I was trying this thing that Paula does, where she'll watch TV on her phone while she does stuff. Right. She does the dishes and she's watching TV, and I'm like, how do you do that? And she's like, what do you mean? Like if there's a noise, don't you not hear the dialogue? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, so then you got to back it up? She's like, no, I just don't care. And I'm like, okay, see, I'm a little more invested in what I watch. And like,
right, which is probably better on Paula. It's you can consume a lot more pop culture if you just go, it's no big deal. Like me watching the Avengers films at the Kitchen Family, where they've already seen all the Avengers films 50 times each. So it's like, I'm going to miss most of this with all of the chit chat going on, but it doesn't matter. It's certainly more spectacular to watch than anything I've got at the Off White House, with absolutely zero technical stuff. My association with the radio show mentally, I always remember that issue 6 was recorded live was. It was a science fiction fantasy convention, and I was invited, and I was in the front row, and the whole crew was on stage and performing issue 6, The Secret, the first appearance of Jaka. And Garrett Dahlke, who was little Asian girl, cute as a button, was Jaka. And I remember they came to the, Jaka's got like the last 3 lines in issue 6. And she was just so bubbly and excited that they got all the way through it. Dave Sim is right here, and he got to see it, that she just sort of turned back into Garrett Dahlke on the last 2 or 3 lines and came bounding off the stage to come running up to me. And it's like, Carrie, you probably should have stayed Jaka for about 15 more seconds than that. But you're getting a nice round of applause. So that's my anytime somebody says Cerebus Radio Show, that's the memory that comes to mind.
The second thing is Mike sent me an email saying that he's missing some issues of Service in Hell, and does AV sell? And I haven't responded to him yet because the answer is sort of. Like if he were to send you a list and a check, you'd send him a bunch of issues. But at the same
yeah, keep going.
But at the same time, the other part of it is, if he sends Hobbs a check, Hobbs will send him the issues. If he sends Birdsong a check, Birdsong will send him they're out there if he wants them. It's just what is he looking for?
Right.
I need issue 2 of the miniseries. Well, you're gonna get a copy of Swords and Service in Hell, buddy.
Yeah, it's, I'll tell you that one of the things that I'm wrestling with right now is phoning or faxing Todd Hignite at Heritage Auctions and going, look, everybody, this is a major cancel culture thing. How far do we have to drive sales down on Cerebus in Hell before Dave Sim gives up? And it's like, I don't think that's going to happen this time, but if you want to do that, and you think that getting the sales down to 1,500 is going to do it, at some point that worm's going to turn, and a bunch of people are going to start reading these and going, actually, Dave Sim was way ahead of the curve on the whole cancel culture thing and weird liberal jargon and all the rest of it. These are hilarious. How do I get these? And of course, we started numbering the individual copies with the Barking Dead issue, which I think was 37. And so part of me wants to phone Todd Hignite and go, okay, they're all individually numbered. The Cerebus Archive has the first 105 of them sequentially. I'm hanging on to 1, 2, and 3. What if I pick a number and go, Rolly, pull out all of the number 10 from 37 through whatever the latest one is that's just come out. I think we're just at the low 70s now. And it's like, would Heritage be interested in getting all of the number 10s and slabbing them? Presumably they're all 9.8 or pretty close to 9.8 because they were all bagged and boarded as soon as they came in from Marquee. So they are a pedigree collection. These are Cerebus Archive copies. And what would they auction for? All of the number 10s, if only because people are now rethinking it and going, oh, these are disgusting. These are terrible. This shouldn't be allowed to be printed. This, how can decent comic book stores sell this crap? Dave Sim is destroying his legacy. Blah, 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 blah. And, okay, well, there's now 50, 60 copies, 50, 60 issues where there's only, 1,500, 1,800 copies of them. And that's in perpetuity. All of those are they have smaller circulation, smaller print run than Cerebus number 1 did. So when does the worm turn? And I don't have as many copies of the early issues of Cerebus now because there wasn't this active campaign to drive down the circulation and eradicate this horrible comic book that shouldn't be allowed to exist. And but when I saw that was happening, it's like, okay, I want 100 of these. I don't know how I'm going to end up selling them, but I'll end up selling them at some point. Mike Sewall is definitely part of the family. If you want to send a check for Cerebus in Hell that you're missing, the early issues probably not going to happen. So it would be after issue 37, where the Cerebus Archive has like 100 of them. If I recognize your name, and it's like I definitely recognize Mike Sewell's name at this point. Mike, you want to work something out? You decide what it's worth to you. Send me a check for that, and I'll get Rolly to tell you what the postage was, and we're all done. We're straight ahead.
Well, I'll let Mike know, but first I'm gonna get the list of what's he looking for, because I started buying 2 copies of each issue after I think the second one, because I can throw $10 at Dave a month or $8 or whatever it is. So I have my copy, and then I have a second copy, and some months I was getting 2 copies, some months I only got 1, some months I didn't get any, and that's when I on the email to Hobbs of, hey Ben, can you help me out? And then he sends them to me, but they're signed and personalized, and I'm like, well, I can't read that.
Right.
But if the Amuck-Kive has any of the issues Mike's looking for, I would cut him a deal. And then after that it'd be, well, okay, if they're real early, yeah, you're probably SOL. But if it's something that Dave's got, yeah, we can go through Dave. Otherwise, like I said, Hobbs and Birdsong have boxes of comics that they're starting to wonder, what did they get themselves into?
Really, it's you're going to fill up your living space just trying to stay current with the book that you're part of a team on. I understand that syndrome more clearly now, what it is that I'm doing to people, because I'm having the same problems with Comics Review, which has filled up every available space I have given it. And it's like Rick Norwood keeps publishing them pretty darn regularly. So I now have a stack of, I think, 5 or 6 of them under my bed. And it's like, no, I don't want these under my bed. It's like, Rolly, how are we doing over on the storage unit? Because he's already moved all of the correspondence over there. And you start bagging, boarding, and boxing 100 copies of a monthly comic book year after year. That's pretty much what Camp David is devoted to now.
So what I'm hearing here is I shouldn't send the copies that I've signed that are in a box waiting to get mailed out?
You can do whatever you want. We don't know how extensive a problem this is. I tend to picture most of the Cerebus audience as being, okay, I wasn't crazy about Cerebus and Hell. I didn't buy it when it was coming out. But we're relisting them with Diamond on a regular basis, where they're filling the orders on Swords of Cerebus and Hell out of their inventory, and we've still got inventory. If you're cool with Swords of Cerebus and Hell, just go to your local store, get the order code, and there you go. You can complete your collection in quotation marks. If you're OCD about having the actual back issues, We haven't really worked anything out on that yet.
Well, no, I'm saying I have a box of, every time I'm involved in an issue and they send me the 25 copies, I sign 5 of them to mail back up to you, and it's like, oh yeah, I gotta get that box up to David, and then, the next set comes in and it's, oh yeah, I really gotta get these signed and put them in the box and get it up to Dave.
Right, I see what you're saying.
And then Eddie sends me an email, hey, hello Spawnies in this year's calendar issue, do you want any copies? I'm like, yeah, you probably should send them to me. And the box showed up, and Paula's like, cause she was like, what did you order this time? I'm like, no, this is the freebie stuff I get in the mail that you don't want to deal with. It's not the stuff I'm paying money for.
Right. There's a difference here, Paula.
Well, I have 2 short boxes full of issues I'm involved in, and it's like, the one's all Dark Horse. That makes sense to me. Like, yes, I have a crap load of these because I put a lot of work into them. But then it's like, there's the other box. It's like, what's in here? And I'm like, oh yeah, the copies of Spider Horror that I got that my name's on the cover, but I had nothing else to do with it. Yeah, I should probably do something with those.
Well, someday those will be rare. No Matt Talbot, his name on the cover. This is the only comic book that you can say that about.
Well, I don't know if I sent them up, the last box I sent up, or if they're in the box that's to go up, but it was one of these, well, I didn't do anything, so I really shouldn't be signing it. I'm like, well, I can do stuff to it now.
Right.
Right. It's like my grandparents had a Peanuts paperback collection, and one of my uncles one day got bored and went through and drew mustaches on every single character.
That's pretty bored.
And then put it back on the bookshelf, and 30 years later when I'm visiting the grandparents as a little kid, like, I'm bored. And it's, well, you can read something. And it's like, all these novels. I'm sure they were great. I'm sure it was probably, Fitzgerald and Hemingway and the literary giants. It's like, yeah, here's a Peanuts trade paperback. I'm 5. I'm going to read comics. And I started reading. I'm like, hey, somebody put mustaches on this. And my grandfather rather quietly grumbled, that was your uncle.
That was your uncle.
We didn't throw the book away because it's a book and you paid money for it, but at the same time, there's a reason why, your uncle's as short as he is, because I smacked him down.
And he will never live that down.